This is something I didn't say, this reminds me. If you're doing qualitative research, another way is not simply to get peer reviews from other researchers, but it is actually to have your interviewees check your findings. The people you interview, depending on how you interview them, whether they are in-depth interview or very quick on the street, do you agree with green or blue? But if these are interviewees who are participating in a more lengthy process, they are often very, very good candidates to actually help you check your findings.
It's often even a requirement. I mean, you're going to do in-depth follow-up interviews with some of the candidates to understand better what your first interview set did. You need them to confirm back to you that how you interpreted what you thought they said is also something they feel comfortable with.
But I mean, in my case in China, the interview that I'm going to do, I don't think they are really interested to read through all your.
No, but wherever
you can verify.
Wherever you're quoting them, when you say like he said X, Y, Z, you want to make sure that you get his approval.
That's possible. But reading through all your interviews, this is absolutely impossible.
That's not the point. Yeah.
Making correction is. Make correct.
If you draw conclusions or if you cite them, you want to correct.
That's right.
That's very critical.
Yeah. And as I said before, this is not difficult to read. Describe your ethical standards if you feel there is a need for it. That's what it says down at the bottom. Especially many schools will have ethical policies as well, depending on what disciplines it's in. Clarify the bias. This is, of course, recommended everywhere, especially when you deal with sensitive issues. I mean, when you're talking about quantity networks and behavior, that can be very, very sensitive. And you have to be careful that you don't make people feel that you are not correctly representing what they say or how they behave. Honesty and transparency. Explain where research problems were or where you are having difficulties getting adequate data, for example. That is also a question of transparency. You may be dealing on a subject where data is very, very difficult to obtain, and you need to say that. Don't forget to write that, and then the reader will think that you believe you've got everything there is, when in fact you knew very well that you didn't get all the data that was available, that you're basing your research on a limited sample. You can say that, and it's limited because so-and-so.